What do you make of that? Because that's one of the allegations against him. They say his appointments are lopsided, and some are even saying there's a one of the things I saw on social media, urbanization agenda in this government.
And you see, they have the right to their opinion. When Buhari was there, we were accusing Buhari of the same thing, that nepotism was the hallmark of his government. Now that Tinubu is there, the northern youth are saying the same thing. That is the beauty of a federal arrangement in which equity, justice should be the hallmark of the government. But a situation whereby the North is not comfortable in less than 4 years of losing power, that is very funny. Buhari was there for 8 years. He made his appointment. The South was complaining too of northernization agenda. Now that the Southerner is there, the North is far uncomfortable with power slipping from their hand, coming to the South. So that power shift that does not make the North comfortable, it is antithetical to national integration. They should allow the Southerner there to govern, do the thing properly, but we cannot but criticize government where things are not done properly.
Yeah.
We cannot but talk. You see, one thing about our politics in the South is that we will say it as it is. It is not about Tinubu is our man, Jagaban is our man, therefore we should not tell him what is not appropriate. We should tell him if government is not doing well. And that's what we've been doing. When Buhari was there, we were talking to. So nobody should crucify Tinubu. They should allow him to use his time, right? After the first 4 years, there will be election. That election will judge whether he has done well or not. Not just me talking.
But when we're seeing all of these things, debate about marginalization, does it lend credence to the lack of national cohesion even after almost 65 years of independence? Because as you mentioned, almost every tenure of government, there are always claims of a certain group being marginalized, a certain group feeling like there's nepotism in government, appointments are lopsided. So that seems to be the story, every 4-year cycle. So what does that say about the lack of national cohesion in the country?
Our democracy is still very young. Don't forget, after independence, the military interregnum took several years. So we started democracy all over again in 1999, which means our democracy is still very, very young. Until after some 2-3 more elections, that we shall be getting it fairly well. So people have the right in a democracy to complain if a government is not doing it well. Federal character principle is there that government ought to observe. And if they do not observe it, Nigerians will be complaining. But there are some appointments that you cannot blame Mr. President for. His personal aides, he has the right to appoint them, whether they are from his bedroom or wherever they may be from. You see, but when you look at the 1999 Constitution as amended, Mr. President cannot appoint all ministers from one ethnic zone. A state must produce at least a minister. If the worst come, a minister of state. That means the constitutional provision has made it incumbent on Mr. President to look beyond his ethnic confine in appointing ministers. So the federal cabinet must be an amalgam of all the ethnic groups in the country. So, but when you are talking of his own personal aides, having appointed ministers, it is his own
prerogative,
right? To say Mr. A go to finance, Mr. B go to agriculture, Mr. C go to the governor of Central Bank. It is his own prerogative. Nobody can force that on him. So that's it.
But as an observer on the sideline, do you have any feeling of the government being nepotic in its appointment, in its way of handling affairs of the country?
I'm a political scientist. I cannot. I said, looking at the constitutional provision, he has appointed ministers from virtually all the states of the federation. That's all. He has satisfied that professional constitution. But other appointment, that are not dictates of the Constitution.
Like agencies of government.
Like agencies of government.
MDAs.
It is his own prerogative to appoint whoever he may desire. And he has been trying. Recently, he made some appointment when the noise was getting too much. He made some appointment with as many as 7 out of 9 from the north. From the north. So,
right. Okay. Let's welcome our panelists again. Let me first welcome Prof. Prof, you were not here when we started. Professor Emayede, Department of Political Science, University of Ghana. Prof, good to have you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Prof.
It's a pleasure to hear and to recognize the voice of Professor Ojo.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so let me go to Barrister first. Barrister, you have the floor.
Yeah, very much. Professor Aide, let me also welcome you. Yeah, good morning. Now, Prof, I have listened to your intro, and it appears that you have a strong belief in the electoral process. Although, in Nigeria, particularly the last 2 years, there have been misgivings about the performance of the umpire, that is INEC, in the conduct of elections. And if democracy must thrive, elections remain a cornerstone to that. Do you think INEC is performing up to expectation and that Nigerians can rely on its giving the constitutional expectations of an unbiased umpire in the coming elections?
Thank you very much. Conduct of election. A free and fair election is not only the responsibility of INEC. And I want to believe strongly that those running INEC are Nigerians. Nigerians were appointed to administer INEC, conducting election. We need to develop strong sense of efficacy in whatever INEC is doing. Let me give you 2 examples. Number 1, when Jonathan was a sitting president, he lost presidential election conducted by INEC and he handed over. When we were in government in Oyo State, Ajimabi was there for 8 years. We lost election. The candidate fielded by Ajimabi lost governorship election. We lost presidential election, right? So, and we handed over. We left the scene. So we cannot crucify INEC. INEC recruited ad hoc staff. INEC recruited professors as returning officers. Some of them are in jail today. Professors as returning officers. So INEC seems to be doing its own best. Nigerians need to cooperate so that we can have a free and fair election. One fundamental problem with the electoral system is that go and look at how many people registered as a voter. How many people actually voted? What is the rate of the voided vote? You will see the box still stop on the table of Nigerians, not INEC. When people will go out to register and they will not vote. So the few that went out will dictate the outcome of the election. When majority did not vote, Tinubu, Peter Obi, Atiku, the 3 top runners in the last election. When you add together all their vote, it's infinitesimal. Compare with the total population of adult population of Nigerians. So where you have less than 20 million voting, casting their ballot, less than 10 million made Tinubu president of Nigeria.
Do you think maybe it's because those people have lost faith? Because as you rightly said, in 2023, just about 26% of those who registered, over 80 million registered, just under a little bit over 20 million came out to vote. So is it because they've lost faith in INEC, as Barrister said? Maybe that's why they feel discouraged.
Not in INEC. It's because, number 1, the media, has not performed up to expectation in terms of public enlightenment, in terms of mobilization of the electorate, in terms of letting them know that they must perform their civic obligation That's number one.
Please hold that thought, sir. Hold that thought, sir. We have to take this commercial break. When we get back, we'll continue the conversation right here on the podium. We're having Professor 𝐃𝐈𝐒, Professor of Comparative Politics, former Chief of Staff to the late Governor 𝐃𝐈𝐒 of Oyo State. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away.
FM 94.9.
The word of the Lord says in Psalm 91 verse 3 that surely he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and also from the perilous pestilence. Get connected with God through his anointed servant, Bishop Testimony, Niyi Testimony, on Hour of Prophecy and Deliverance from partners with Jesus Revival Ministry on this station, 32 FM 94.9, every Sunday by 7:15 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Get connected, get delivered. God bless you.
Àmàlà dúdú, àmàlà funfun, àmàlà tó fẹ́lẹ́ bí etí, ní ṣàwéwédú tó yọ̀ kólólò, ọ̀rẹ́ ìmùlẹ̀ gbẹ̀gìrì, pẹ̀lú ẹran tó muta, káàsà. Ìlú Ìbàdàn àtàgbègbè rẹ̀. Àkókò tó láti gbélú Ìbàdàn lárugẹ ṣàfihàn àwọn ohun àdámọ̀ rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú oúnjẹ aládìídùn fara lókun sararindin.
Ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ ọ̀gọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ènìyàn lábẹ́ àtíbàbà kan ṣoṣo láti jọ fàwọn ọbẹ̀ aládùn búka jamala pẹ̀lú àwọn iléeṣẹ́ àfijù olóúnjẹ tó gbajúgbajà nìbàdàn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń jàmàlà láti máa sọ̀díwúkẹ́ dọ́wẹ́kẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn adẹ́rìn-pòṣónú láyìíká tó rẹwà.
Àwọn ìdíje wọ̀nyí ò ní gbẹ̀yìn. Ta ló lè yára jẹ̀sùn àmàlà bàkìtàn láàrin ìṣẹ́jú péréte? Ọkùnrin wo ló lè ro àmàlà kó kúnná bí etí?
Ṣé ilé yára jàmàlà gbígbóná láì fi falẹ̀?
Ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn ẹ̀bùn tó jọjú tún wà nílẹ̀ fáwọn olùkópa láti fi ṣèfàjẹ́.
Ẹ̀yà ọjọ́ 23 oṣù kẹjọ ọdún sọ́tọ̀ láago 2 lè tó gbéra sọ ní pápá ìgbàlejò ti Recreation Club tó wà lágbègbè Sabo Àdámàsìgbà Ìbàdàn. $2,000 náírà lówó tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì tẹ́ fi jẹ̀gbádùn yọ̀tọ̀mí.
Láti kópa ẹ gba tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì yín ní 32 FM Àjàkẹ́rin Cocoa House Dùgbẹ̀ Ìbàdàn.
Tàbí
Bíbíire Food Canteen Òkè Àdó.
Ìyá Òjó Food Canteen tó wà ní Ìjókòó Adánlágbáremú Ìbàdàn.
Àwọn iléeṣẹ́ tó so nígbàwọ́ àyájọ́ àmàlà níkànnì 32 FM 94.9.
Iléeṣẹ́ ọtí Rega Dry Gin.
Iléeṣẹ́ ohun ìsebẹ̀ tẹ́rà Oníkóró.
Pẹ̀lú àjọṣepọ̀ àwọn ilé ìtajà oúnjẹ tó yáàyè bíi
Bíbíire Food Canteen.
Ìyá Òjó Alámàlà.
Fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ tàbí láti jẹ́ onígbọ̀wọ́.
Ẹ̀lú Bímpé 0806-218-5194 tàbí Captain P2 0802-258-8193.
32 FM Àmàlà Fest. Àjẹdọ́wẹ́kẹ̀. Ó máa dùn, ó máa lárinrin.
Golden penny pasta, what's your reason? What's your reason? Oh, everybody gather round. Come and hear the news in town. From the kitchen to my heart, every single body's a thrill. With every bowl I share, I find more reasons.
There are more reasons to love Golden Penny Pasta, enriched with protein and fiber for you and your loved ones. Golden Penny Pasta, great taste, good nutrition.
Start your day and have a good time.
Kivo Crema.
And where you need to have the break time.
Kivo Crema.
It's not tea, Papa Garita.
Kivo Crema. Kivo Crema.
Ẹ máa rọra o, ẹ jẹ́ ká gbẹ́sẹ̀ ńlẹ̀ láàrin ìṣẹ́jú méjì a ó dòrò ilé wa.
ìṣẹ́jú méjì a sì ti rin kìlómítà kan. Ẹ dákun orí ilẹ̀ là ń lọ ní àbáginjù. Àmọ́ gbé èèyàn mọ́ tí ẹ ṣáájú lé ọ̀run.
Bí ẹ bá gbóhùn èèyàn mọ́ mo lérò pé ṣáà ń gbóhùn àwọn yòókù tí ń ké sí o sí o. Ohun ojú wọn lójú rí nígbà tí ọ̀rọ̀ ilé àti ilẹ̀ títà ti di tajà tẹran. N lèmi ti mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn olùgbàdì jìbìtì tó pọ̀ jáǹtìrẹrẹ. Àwọn tí wọn ò kó tọrọ nìkan lèmi lè júwe soft sand property fún. Ilé-iṣẹ́ talétalẹ̀ tóun àti 32 FM jọ ń ṣe àṣepọ̀. Yíkáyíká ìlú Ìbàdàn ni wọ́n nílé tí wọ́n sì nílẹ̀ sí. Fẹ́lifẹ́li ní àwọn estate wa yìí gbóná lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Àwa la ní Orange Estate tó wà ní Ìdó níbi àwọn lọ́lá ń kọ́lé sí. Bákan náà ni Mango Estate tó wà lákùfọ̀ lójú ọ̀nà Lifehouse International School. Ìṣẹ́jú méjì ní secondary school lákùfọ̀. Iṣẹ́ tún lọ lọ́wọ́ lórí Banana Estate tó wà ní ẹ̀bá ojú irin omi àdìo. Ohun tí a fi yàtọ̀ sí aráyòkù ni pé bí ẹ bá ti ń sanwó ilẹ̀ yín fún soft sand property ní 32 32FM ni wọ́n ti máa já rìsíìtì fún yín. Ṣé ẹ wá rí pé abẹ́rẹ́ tiwa lókun nídìí? Bí ẹ bá wá ní ilé tàbí ilẹ̀ tí ẹ fẹ́ tà tàbí tí ẹ fẹ́ rà, ẹ kàn sí wa ní 32FM Àjàkẹ́ni Cocoa House nìbàdàn tàbí kí ẹ pè sórí àwọn nọ́mbà yìí 091-1555-0055 tàbí sórí 091-6461-5000. Soft Sands Property, òrùlé fún tẹrú tọmọ.
ọ̀rẹ́ mi tí ń bẹ nílùú òyìnbó sọ pé àwọn máa ń ra electronics wọ́n sì máa sanwó ẹ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ bí wọ́n ti ń gbowó lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n ní nàìjíríà wa yìí ó máa gba 20,000 naira wọ́n sì máa retí pé kó kó 500,000 naira wà lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà láti fi ra nǹkan bó bá fẹ́ ra tv náà ó máa tówó jọ bí ẹni dọ́jọ́ ìgbéyàwó sọ́nà.
àlàyé farabalẹ̀ ṣó o tí gbọ́ nípa CDK ni.
ó dé o CDK kí ni.
níbẹ̀ lèmi ti ra fóònù ọwọ́ mi tó ń wò yìí fìríìjì washing machine home theatre tí mo sì ń sanwó díẹ̀díẹ̀ kódà kò ní owó èlé kankan iye tán sì ń tà lọ́jà gan-an onímúra.
irọ́ o ṣé lóòótọ́ wọn ò fowó kankan kún kẹ̀.
ọ̀rẹ́ wa n ò fowó kankan kún kódà gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tí mo rà lọ́dọ̀ wọn ni wọ́n ti gbé fún mi tí ì sì tí ì sanwó mi tán tí mò ń sanwó mi díẹ̀díẹ̀. ọ̀rẹ́ wa kí ló dé tó ń yọra rẹ lẹ́nu ǹjẹ́ ló mọ̀ pé pẹ̀lú CDK o lè ra àwọn nǹkan èlò inú ilé tó sì máa sanwó díẹ̀díẹ̀.
download CDK báyìí lórí Google Play Store tàbí App Store.
CDK, making life easier.
You're listening to 32FM 94.9.
Just because you do not take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in you.
The funds spent were properly spent because we got them from intervention funds.
Only you waka come. There is God.
I don't know which party my wife belongs to, but she belongs to my kitchen and my living room and the other room.
Stay in tune with politics on 32FM 94.9.
Welcome back to the Podium on 32FM 94.9. If you just joined us, our guest this morning is Professor GBADE Ojo, Professor of Comparative Politics and former Chief of Staff to late Governor Abiola Ajimobi of Oyo State. Remember, we're live on Facebook through 2FM 949. So, Prof, before we went on that break, you were making a point about voter apathy in the country, and you were saying that the media has not done its job. That was the first point. You wanted to say the second point before the break. Yes.
The issue of voter apathy is not unconnected. Aside from the media that has not performed well, it's not unconnected with the fear of electoral violence. There are people that are afraid to go and cast their ballot because of insecurity. It is not unconnected with low voter efficacy. People may not have confidence that their ballot will count, right? That what is my own one single vote out of millions that somebody required to become a president. It is also not unconnected with the fact that people are concerned with their economic interest, their civic interest, because of high rate of poverty and penury. People cannot afford to close their shops, right? The many workers cannot afford to abandon their duty posts. Bricklayers will go to site rather than go and cast their ballot. So those things will gang up together, and the issue of rigging by politicians. However, vote buying is there, that the little that are voting, large junk were induced with money before they go and cast their ballot. There are so many reasons, and the fact that our democracy is still very young. Over time, we shall get there when we keep on fumbling and wumbling.
Okay, let me bring on Prof now. Prof, you have the floor.
Yes, let me greet my friend once again. Good morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I see that you are wearing many caps. You're a professor of politics, you're a practicing politician, and you have also been in government. And you say we shouldn't blame INEC. We should blame Nigerians. And I'm happy that when you started talking about those to blame, you mentioned the role of professors. I was thinking that you should also be reminded about the role of politicians. And you know that if politicians are not committed to free and fair elections, there are those who appoint the leadership of INEC. And we have complained about them appointing partisan politicians into INEC. and there have been controversies around the performance of INEC. I'm asking this question. Do you not agree that politicians, even more than ordinary Nigerians, are much more responsible for the sorry state of elections in Nigeria today? Remember, it is not only national, state, or even House of Assembly elections that we are complaining of. We are also complaining of local government elections. So what is the role of politicians? Are they not central to the poor elections that are being collected in Nigeria today? And are they not supposed to be central to building a formidable electoral institution?
Yeah, thank you very much. I agree with you that politicians share a large chunk of the blame. But politicians are misbehaving because they are desperados, expectedly. Very desperate to get there, to capture power. But it is the duty of the institutions, if institutions are strong enough, to checkmate the desire of politicians. I was in South Africa a few years ago during their municipal election. Interestingly, I was monitoring municipal election. I got to a community with my guide where they blocked the road. They prevented the electoral officials. They said they were not voting for anybody. They were not voting for any political party. That no elections should be conducted in their constituency. I asked them questions that said they have been voting and nothing to show for it. So they have checkmated the electoral body, they have checkmated politicians. So in Nigerians, we need more political consciousness so that people will know their role. Even if INEC want to misbehave, politicians that want INEC to misbehave, that want INEC to compromise themselves, institutions will make it difficult for them. What do we say about the judiciary? When INEC cooperate with politicians in rigging election, they go to court. The role of the judiciary has been inglorious in the recent past. So virtually all institutions connected with election in Nigeria, they have not been doing well. Not only politicians. Politicians, even in America, we can look at the behavior of Donald Trump, even in the U.S. When he lost election in his first term, he didn't want to hand over easily. He did not want to go.
In fact, there was a recorded telephone conversation where he was telling one of the election officials, I think it was in Georgia, that he needed 11,000 more votes.
Yes,
he should add it up, you know.
He didn't want to. So politicians are the same globally because they have invested money, they have invested their time, and they want to get there. But it's the duty of the institution, INEC, political party, the media, the judiciary to ensure that the right thing is done at the right time.
Toba.
Yes, barrister, yes.
Please permit me.
Right.
I don't want my noble professor to leave this issue, before I ask this related question.
Right.
Now, Prof, you have talked so much about institutions of state.
Yes.
But a situation where most institutions of state are answerable to the president, especially from the constitutional provisions which allow the president to. Is there any hope for Nigerians looking up to these institutions that a lot of Nigerians believe have been placed under the armpit of the president? For instance, the army is answerable to Mr. President. The police is answerable to the president. INEC chairman is appointed by the president. The judiciary is not left out. There are money that ought to be coming or be a direct charge on the Consolidated Revenue Fund is being used to cage them. That it takes the executive to build them houses, increase their salaries, and all of that. So, do you see any hope in these institutions bringing about the needed changes that, the country deserves.
Thank you very much. I have very strong hope in those institutions. Going by the size of this country, the land mass and the population, Mr. President doesn't have all the power we claim he has. For instance, political parties are one of those institutions. Some people mismanage PDP. In Oyo State here, election into the House of Representatives Ibadan North, yes, the primaries cannot be conducted clearly. 10 of them bought nomination form. The party cannot conduct primary, free and fair primary. You see, for 10 candidates. You see, so that the party can field a candidate clearly. Whether it is going to be through direct primary, indirect primary, or consensus, they are unable to do it until this morning. No one can tell me Mr. President dictated to them that they should not be able to conduct primary. Now, Mr. President was there when they lost to Lagos in the last election. Jagaban lost to Lagos. He lost Osun, where he hailed from. So we should not oversize. The Inspector General of Police cannot tell them in my village in Onara that look, police, the DPO in Onara from Abuja. This is the party that must win the election. So if everybody decides to do the right thing, like Jonathan lost and was a sitting president, so everybody decides to do the right thing, then we shall get there. If professors that were involved in elections were collecting bribe and they are in jail, then where is the hope? Would they tell me Mr. President dictated to them if I were to be a returning officer? So the issue is, I agree that our institutions are weak, but we Nigerians are the one running those institutions. We cannot go to Sierra Leone or Ghana to bring people to come and run those institutions. Let us do the right thing the way it should be done. That will whittle down the influence and the power of Mr. President. I agree that we run an over-centralized federal arrangement.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, speaking of the powers of the president, and the issue of political party that you mentioned, there are those who have said that all the crisis we are seeing in this opposition party has been orchestrated, by Mr. President and his ruling party. In fact, the recent ADC coalition, I think we saw someone else come out to say that is the new national chairman, the crisis in Labour Party, crisis in PDP. Those in opposition have always, pointed accusing fingers. They say it is the ruling party that has caused this problem. They are the one infiltrating their camp, trying to bribe this and bribe that, and coerce somebody into defecting into their political party. That's how powerful they say the president is.
It is still because we have very weak institutions, and political parties are one of those institutions. For instance, if PDP as a party operate according to its constitution, and there is one wiki who accepted as appointment as a minister under the administration of another political party, what do? You call it anti-party, and you ask him to call it quit. If you are not courageous enough to ask him to leave your party, if there are people that are ready to betray you, to serve as Quisling in your own party, and your party cannot inflict its own law on them and suspend them or ask them to go, then you suffer for it. You suffer for it. You cannot be in a party and be working for another party. Look at the gale of defection. Some people are saying they are not ready to defect from PDP, but they will work for APC.
Yes.
Some are in PDP and they are working for ADC. Some are in APC today and they will be working for ADC. Now, how do you explain that? A political party should be strictly about ideology, about their constitution. Where their constitution is meaningless to them, then you have weak institutions.
So you don't think it's the president that is, trying to influence what's happening internally?
Even if Mr. President is doing that, they allow it. They allow it.
Because they are weak.
They are weak. Because if Mr. President should give A, B, and C money to go and disrupt their party, and their party disallow that, what happens? The money becomes ineffective. Becomes ineffective. So the truth is that let us have strong institutions. Let political parties be administered the way it should be, right? Let judiciary operate the way it should be. Let university system operate the way it should be. and let the media operate the way it should be. Right then, we have a developing country.
Oh, okay, so you've mentioned federalism earlier, and I think you've spoken about it in different, publications as well.
Yeah.
And there are those who have talked about restructuring, all different kinds of models. Some say we should go back to the regional government. Some talk about the Ethiopian model of federalism, the Brazilian model, Switzerland, all kinds of model. They say this current model is over centralized, and the states don't have so much powers that they should have. If power to be devolved. So how would you assess our current federal structure in the context of the powers of the president that we talked about? And are you an advocate of restructuring? What kind of restructuring model would you advocate for?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I am a federal scholar, and I've written a lot, like you said,
yes,
on Nigeria's federal arrangement.
Yes.
The truth is that we are not operating a truly federal system. We operate a more or less unitary system. And the fundamental problem is with we Nigerians and the Constitution. When you see Mr. President asking governors to meet him in Abuja, when I was in government, I would laugh. When governors are in a hurry to catch up with their flight and go to Abuja to do what? To meet with Mr.
But you would
President.
also follow your principle there.
Yeah, I would tell them the truth. That look, the president is not a superior boss in a federal arrangement.
Okay.
It's not. You have to run your state as a governor. It's to run the federation. I agree that we need cooperative federalism, but not at the level of a governor being subordinate to Mr. President. Whether you like it or not, statutory allocation will come to your state. And whether you are a friend of Mr. President or not, that does not increase your statutory allocation. Run your state the way it should be. When we are talking of restructuring, it's because of over-centralization. Over-centralization in terms of fiscal federalism. Federal government taking large chunk. Over-centralization in the sense that federal government having the commanding height of the economy and social policy. The states are just an appendage, and they should be fairly, reasonably autonomous, but they are not. The kind of restructuring that I have been advocating in my write-up is that the states should be strong, not that we should go back to regionalism. We cannot go back to regionalism. So we go back to regionalism. Do you still ask Ekiti, Ondo, Osun to come back to Ibadan as their capital when they have been enjoying autonomy? It's not done. They will not be ready to do that. Let each state operate as a state. Let them determine their minimum wage. In the U.S., the state of Texas paid the highest salary to civil servants in the U.S. Because Texas has oil deposits.
Yes.
So, but in Nigeria, what is the responsibility of federal government? To tell the governor of your state how much is to pay as minimum wage. If you want to pay 20,000 as minimum wage, and workers in your state are ready to accept that, good luck to them.
Maybe the federal government sets the baseline that, okay, don't go below this baseline. You can pay whatever you want.
And
that's what we're seeing
NLC has been hammering on that. That look, federal government call it 80,000. You must pay 80,000 as minimum wage.
You should not pay below 80,000.
But you should not pay below 80,000.
Yes.
What of it? The economy of your own state cannot cope with 80,000, or the economy of your state makes minimum wage 200,000. Like you are working in Lagos, 100,000 is meaningless as a minimum wage if you are working in Lagos. So the issue is that we should run federalism the way it should be. Why should the marble deposit in 𝐒𝐈𝐒 in Oyo State here be under the purview of the federal government? Solid mineral. Why should Ondo State, which is very rich in one solid mineral in which the deposit there is next to Canada? I forgot the name of the solid mineral in Ondo State. Why should Ondo State be, thank you, bitumen? After Canada, there is a large deposit of bitumen in Ondo State, and Ondo State is not a rich state. Mabu, right, is in 𝐒𝐈𝐒 here. Why is Oyo State not rich? Because you have a lot of bottleneck under the Ministry of solid mineral, in which a minister will have to come and take permission. We are coming to inspect. You have to do this. You have to do that. What is in your soil as a natural deposit? Why should the south, where we get oil deposit, be suffering when they have the natural deposit? And you say, okay, we have given you 30% derivation, whether there is oil spillage or not. Federalism is not about that. Federalism is about ability to manage yourself, to run yourself, to govern yourself according to federal law, and you pay royalty to the federal government. Right?
So presently, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, but do you feel
look at even the
Yes.
university where we work. Now, state university lecturer will say they must be paid like those in UI. That is federal university. Is there any sense in that?
So you feel like, for example, using the university model, if lecturers in the federal institutions are negotiating with the federal government, lecturers in the state should negotiate with their state governors.
That's what we call federal system of government. It's a state university. What their business with what federal government is paying? What is the business of ASU? Now saying that retirement age in federal universities will be retirement age in LAUTECH, owned by the state government. You see, we don't have
Maybe they want to carry
spirit.
that spirit of
It does not make sense in federal
camaraderie.
system. We don't have federal spirit. This is a private radio station.
Yes.
Why do you need to compare yourself with those with the business? You see the same employer. Why should it be the same condition of service? Each employer should have his own condition of service.
So you feel the federal government carries everything on its head in Nigeria?
That is over centralization, and that is why they have been unable to manage it. There are a lot of roads, bad roads, which ordinarily state governments will be managing, which they are not, because federal government are taking over virtually everything, including land. Land. Look at land use decree. What the responsibility of federal government with land, domicile in Oyo State? They are supposed to pass through the governor, according to land use act.
Well, isn't that what the land use act is about?
Yeah, that is what it is in theory.
Yes.
In theory. Look at security. The state commissioner of police will take order from above. Right? You brought somebody from Jigawa to be state commissioner of police in Ogun State. Who doesn't know the villages? Look at the rate of insecurity.
But Prof, do you feel like, because there are those in this government who have argued that, the president is taking the right step, that maybe all of these things are being corrected. They cite the example of the Electricity Act where, right now the NERC, that's the Electricity Regulatory Commission, is now transferring regulatory powers to state government. We saw the other day the Enugu State NERC now, or the regulatory body in Enugu State announced reduction of tariff. They talk about the tax reform, which sort of rejigs the distribution of VAT revenue.
Failure
yes.
In electricity. They have realized their failure. If federal government is investing in solar in Nassau Rock, they have realized that they have failed. That's why they are now allowing states.
Yeah. So looking at those gradual steps, do you feel like they are addressing this lopsided structure that you talked about?
Gradual step is getting too slow. What does it take that step not to go to the security? Why can't we convert Amatekun to state police? Why should Kano state government be concerned with women not wearing hijab when they are facing insecurity problem?
Prof, there's also another argument that, even the governors, if you look at the so-called little power that they have, what have they done with it? How has it, trickled down to the benefit of the people? Because primary education, healthcare, all of this are within the domain of state government.
Yeah, we are not holding them accountable. A lot of them are embarking on white elephant project.
Airport,
seaport, flyover that we don't need. At times you look at the volume of traffic and you look at flyover, you can count number of vehicles on the flyover. Right? When primary schools are in Palo State, when state hospitals, you cannot go there for treatment. Nothing is being done. State hospitals are busy. When government cannot inform, remove waste, both domestic waste and industrial waste. They cannot take care of waste. And you are talking of flyover.
So state hospitals are overcrowded and there's a burden on the tertiary health institution.
Health institution. It is unfortunate. Even the tertiary health institution cannot go because of Japa syndrome. The experienced consultant have jackpot, they have gone out. Few of us that are sitting in the university system, we have some other things that time us down like my church. If not, what am I doing the last 10 years? Yeah. So it's unfortunate.
We still need your expertise. We need your expertise. But another argument, that they've put forward is that, yes, we're talking about restructuring over centralization. They say this government, since removal of subsidy, it has more money now. It has now released more funds to the state governors, giving them the mandate to ensure that, these resources trickle down at the state level. That shows the commitment to, allowing the state to be autonomous to a large extent. Okay, we come together every month. There's an increase in this amount we share. You have more money now. Go to your state. Let your people feel the impact.
Look, it is political propaganda. Agree that you have withdrawn subsidy. Federal government took that step.
Yes.
Agree that you have increased allocation to the state. Fine. But in what way does that affect price index? If you want to buy bread, what is the responsibility of Mr. Governor? You have increased the price of diesel. If you want to transport maize or beans from Maiduguri to Ibadan, going by the number of liters of diesel that truck will consume, what is the business of governor in that? And how much they will sell beans at Bodija market? What they should know is that federal government policy instigated all these discrepancies, and they are to be at the brunt, not state government. The state government will tell you we have.
No, but they say we have more revenue now. Yes.
Yes, and we have increased salary, and we are turning more roads, and you can see. Do you expect them to go and distribute money on the street? What will affect the economy is the ability of federal government to manage naira, exchange rate, ability of federal government to manage oil sector, ability of the federal government to manage electricity and to manage security. Those things matter. Very, very important. Federal government has the commanding height of the economy. I keep on saying that. And they are to manage the negative impact of fuel subsidy withdrawal. Right.
All right. Let's go to Prof now. Let's go to Prof. Prof, you have the floor, sir. Hello, Prof. Are you with us?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. Yes.
I followed Professor Ojo very closely in terms of his engagement with decentralization and centralization. I think it's important for us to clarify that the federal decentralization process is usually a pendulum. It moves, decentralizes and centralizes according to the challenges that we face. And it's important for us to also know that what YUSUF has argued for, that it is the minimum. Today, Ogun State lecturers earn more pay than the University of Ibadan lecturers. So it's not that minimum means federal government imposes a high pay on the states. It's really that because of the idea of social citizenship, there should be a minimum measure of dignity that ordinary Nigerians should enjoy. And it is benchmarked as a form of minimum wage. And it doesn't apply to all organizations, but those who employ 50 and above. And it's important for us to recognize that states are actually free. And you have mentioned Texas, and you didn't talk about its inability to meet minimum wage, but its ability to go beyond. Yeah. And that's actually the spirit that we are talking about, because the minimum is what it is, and the federal government does not fix minimum arbitrarily. It must be a realistic minimum that every state should be able to meet, and more states should be able to go above. That's the idea of a minimum wage. And I don't think that should be a major problem in terms of our federal arrangement. Be that as it may, I think that we still have to deal with a number of things which we still need to talk about. The question of security. And I think that the common form of alternative security arrangement is usually the idea of community policing. And I don't know why you prefer state police to community police or even local government police. is centralization only when it is concentrated at the federal level? Can we not also talk about centralization when local government responsibilities are taken over by state governments?
Yes.
There can also be concentration at the state level when states, when they take over local government affairs and literally push local government out of the scene. So do you think that we should talk about centralization only in relationship between the federal and state government and not in terms of the relationship between state and local government? And how does that also play out in terms of security when we talk about community policing? Why do we always have to talk about state police?
Right. Prof.
You see, it's just a starting point. We may not be able to go on hog in terms of decentralization at all levels. If we can detach the states a bit from the federal government and they're on their own, then we can now go on to local government level. How do you explain a situation whereby a sitting governor said he does not believe in the existence of local government and the 1999 Constitution has amended? You see, clearly declared that we are to run a 3-tier system of government. And somebody who swore to implement that constitution that he has no faith in local government, then we need to detach the state a bit from the federal. Then we begin to detach the local from the state too. It is at all
I was thinking that we should actually start from detaching local government from the state, because the local government is nearer to the people more. And that's actually where we should concentrate on.
That's why we should concentrate on that. But that notwithstanding, in some states, local government are fairly detached, like Lagos. They even initiated the idea of local council development areas, where local government were too large, they were broken down. We copied that in Oyo State when we were in government too, where you have a local government like Oluyole, but in South, they were as big as half of some other states. They were broken down into SNDA. But what of implementation? The implementation is not properly done to date. So it is our responsibility to let politicians and those of them of affairs know that the right thing is to abide with the dictate of the Constitution that allow 3 tiers. Imagine the recent Supreme Court judgment giving local government financial autonomy. Up to today, the same federal government that went to court is still having it problematic
to implement.
It's not sad to implement. And they're having it problematic to implement because of desire for second term. By the time they come for second term, you'll be surprised that they will enforce it.
Is it because of
they
second
don't want,
term?
Yeah, second term.
Prof, because there are some lawyers who argued, against that judgment at the time. They said it created a sort of problem. They cited, was it section 164? I can't remember the particular section now. That, it sort of created a kind of ambiguity regarding the status of local government, the status of state government in this current federalism that we practice. And in fact, the federal government had to set up a committee, at different state level to negotiate with governors on when it's going to be implemented.
No.
Yes.
Federal government went to court.
Yes.
The wisdom of Supreme Court should be followed. We have to apply their wisdom. That's why we call it Supreme Court, that detach local government. Whatever the administrative bottleneck, each state or at federal level, by now, they are supposed to have designed operational guidelines. I am one of the people that believe that there will be a lot of bottleneck. Because when you give local government full autonomy, what happened to primary school? Primary schools are under local government.
Yes.
There was a time they were fully under the control of local government, and for some 2 years in Ibadan here, they were not paying salary.
In fact, maybe that's
primary
why
school teachers
some
were
NUT
not
members were opposed to
NUT
local government.
They are
autonomy.
never happy
Yes.
with it.
Yes.
Because of their experience in the past. There are local government pensioners that were not paid for years. Then, if you give them autonomy, there are some local government which are spending at 200 primary schools. There are some local government in Oyo State here with less than 40 primary schools. And you imagine the number of teachers in each local government area and how much will be deducted. And that is why the idea of SUBEB came up. SUBEB, at the end of the month, they will deduct the salary of teachers, block. You see, the pensioners that are working for local government, their pension will be deducted en bloc. That was the idea of joint account allocation committee that have been abused by governors, which necessitated going to court. Now that they are going to court, when local government pays salaries and pensions, the leftover, what are they doing with it? Why should governors appropriate that money and claim that I am dualizing a road in your community? I am using your money to dualize your road. Why don't you allow the local government chairman and his councillor to determine what infrastructure they require in that community? So local governments should be fairly autonomous. As they are now, they are not there. There is administrative inertia.
No, do you think it stems from how they emerge in the first place? Because we know a lot of things that play out before local government election at the party level, state governors usually across
No, there's
board.
nothing local government election. Don't forget, we were there before. Local government chairmen were appointees of Mr. Governor. If there's going to be local government elections, so to say, there should be communities where Mr. Governor is not popular. Can you claim to be a governor and you are popular in the 33 local government? It's not possible. It's not possible. There may be 3, 4, 5 local government where you are not popular, where opposition party ought to have won the chairmanship election. That's what we call local government election. Why I see that all over the country, a single party doesn't win governorship election. Why is ABGA there? AD was in control of the Southwest before. ABGA is in control of the area. So, if you have free and fair local government election, the ruling party at the state level will not win all the councils.
So you admit that the one your party conducted when you were in government, was not fair and fair.
Look, governors are not being sincere with local government election.
Because I remember at that time, opposition parties boycotted that election because it was coming
and what happened now?
To the end of...
APC equally boycotted the election, the one conducted by Seyi Makinde. Are you not aware too?
Yes.
It's because governors are not sincere with local government election. Even in the north, in the east, governors have been winning all the local governments.
Right, let's go to Barrister now. Barrister? Hello, Barrister, are you with us? Yes. Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much. Now, Prof.
Yeah.
I want to come into your world. Our democracy is wobbling. That in some quarters, some are advocating for a return to military rule. Sadly so. But I have done a little research, and I find that out of the 274 universities, with 149 as private, 63 as state-owned, and 62 as federal, almost all of them have a department of political science, although there is no data on the number of political science professors. Thank God we have 2 of you in the house today. Now, it has always been my position that our universities ought to provide solutions to societal problems rather than be a reflection of same. Now, like you have also told us this morning about your research papers, given all the research findings of these political science professors, how many of such research findings are being used by government to move our democracy forward? If we have a National Economic Council, don't we need a body like a National Political Science Council to advise government on global best practices in advancing our democracy? I am looking for chop for you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You see, you have hit the nail by the head. The truth is that in Africa, and most especially in Nigeria, we are not making use of our eggheads. In Europe and America, right, when you are elected president, You don't go to your political party alone to appoint ministers. You engage consultants. You see, to reach out to people that can serve in your government. I think a government that was very close to that was Obasanjo, that made use of technocrats. The like of Okonjo-Iweala, the kind of current governor of Anambra State.
Charles Soludo.
Charles Soludo. You see,
Akinwumi additional
of this world. You go out, you ensure that certain percentage of a cabinet member. That was why I was brought into government in Oyo State as a technocrat.
Yes.
Not a politician. I am not a politician. I was invited from the university. You need technocrats to do that. And aside from that, Nigeria is blessed with a lot of research institutes,
yes,
which we are not making use of. In the X sector, you have the Forestry Research Institute at 𝐔𝐈𝐒. They do a lot of things. Each time I was there, when we were in government, we planted trees. We were surprised with the governor, what they are doing. You have NISA there.
Yes.
You see that it's almost comatose. You see, they are supposed to be engine rule when it comes to policy formulation. You have Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos,
yes,
that should be handling foreign policy for the government. Advise government on foreign policy. But our politicians, they believe in themselves. They don't want to appreciate their shortcomings. They don't want to believe that they need the university people, right? When I was in government, let me tell you one funny thing. The alias they call me, PhD Politica. That this one, look, let's hear you quickly, this theoretician. You see, we know how to do it. I told them, let me train you how to run a political party so that your political party will be a winning machine at all times. They were laughing. Oh, we have been doing it from the time of Awolowo. What do you want to train us
on? So maybe they want to tell you that the classroom politics is different from the practicality of it.
That is the disaster.
Yes.
We have on hand. In developed world, they rely on research finding. Technocrats are important to them. University people are important to them. And that is why we are grossly underpaid. Grossly underpaid. Why a counselor who barely holds a school certificate will go home at the end of the month more than what a professor will earn. How do you expect that country to develop? Where a counselor and a commissioner may go home at the end of the month more than what a consultant of medicine and the UC will go home with at the end of the month. That's not the way to run a country. So, Barrister, you have done well. We need to look into our university, look out for people who are out there that have made meaningful research output. Not just because we are calling them professors. There are so many professors by federal character, professors by politics, not because we call someone a professor.
But I've heard, some of my former teachers, who talk about how they were on a certain committee of a certain government, how they worked with, some top military men, attended different conferences. Is it that the inputs are not implemented at the end of the day? I mean, these are scholars, renowned scholars who, consult during elections across African countries, who have worked with world leaders as well.
Givers. Each time we work with those people,
yes,
we scholars will be thinking on pragmatic recommendations. They will be laughing. They are looking out for how to chop money. Scholars will not be looking for how to chop money. We'll be looking for how to bring improvement beer on the society. But some other people are concerned with how to make money. Contradictory interest. So that is the dilemma.
So when you were in government, what was it like, in terms of being able to blend your scholarly experience with the practicality of local politics here in Oyo State?
No, I did my best.
Yes.
Only that there is what we call principle of collective responsibility. You cannot go out and say you didn't support this policy. You have made your input at cabinet level, whether your input was accepted or not.
So there were moments where you were opposed to a certain policy, but you could not go out.
No, you have to. In fact, when you are not comfortable with certain policy, you advise your principal privately, at times through text message, that Your Excellency, why is it not done this way? But you are not the driver. You are to advise. You are not the one elected. The person elected, his own wisdom, It's what the society will rely on. That's it, and you don't have choice.
So is this what happens when sometimes you see a professor or a scholar appointed to a position and you don't really see much difference? Is this what usually happens?
Yeah, I don't want to. People outside will say advisors are bad. They are not advising this governor. They are not advising president. How do you explain to Tinubu, who has not come into government on the day of swearing, on the day of his inauguration, saying subsidy is gone? Instead of coming, wait for 3 months, look out for the scam you say exists in subsidy regime and deal with that scam in the interest of the common man on the street. But you have made up your mind that subsidy is gone and it's gone like that. Then the boomerang effect of the subsidy is gone is what you are managing till today and until when you will leave the government.
All right. So let's come back to the issue of national cohesion I raised earlier on. It's something that some people have said is our reality. We cannot ignore it. There are those who oppose it, that we should focus more on merit and competence. Every election cycle, there's always a debate about power rotation. Some say it's a gentleman's agreement. It's a turn of the South, it's a turn of the North, the Southeast, and all of that. Right now, the hottest issue in the coalition right now is who should get the ticket. Should it go to a northerner, or should the president complete his 8-year term as a southerner? How does it make you feel, and how do you think some of these things affect the voting pattern in election? Because one of the issues that came up in the last election was bigotry. Whether some people voted along the line, but if you look at the numbers again, it tends to defeat that argument as well. So what do you make of all of this in the context of how we vote and how this ethnicity and religion sentiment affects internal democracy within political party and how people vote eventually in elections?
You see, Nigeria is a deeply divided and plural society. And the issue of ethnicity is a reality that we can see in our faces, whether we like it or not, going by a level of development. But when it comes to who become the president of the country, the Constitution does not say anything about ethnicity. It is what we call informal power sharing. Religion and ethnicity has no place in the Constitution. The Constitution will say, let us go and vote. Who satisfy constitutional requirement. But it is the wisdom of our nationalist leaders, constitution drafters, that say, okay, Nigeria should operate as a federal state, and each state should produce a minister. Because if president is coming from the same zone consistently, then nepotism may come in. But minister must be appointed from each state of the federation. But we have developed a level of informal power sharing, where a governor is a Muslim, the deputy is a Christian. Where a governor is a Christian, the deputy is a Muslim. Where Mr. President is a Muslim, the vice is a Christian. Until recently, that they experimented with Muslim ticket. It was the same when Abiola contested, Baba Gana King-Gibby. It was a Muslim ticket. And Nigerians did not bother about religion, really, other than good governance. But despite that, there should be informal power sharing.
Okay, you agree that it should be that?
If Buhari was tolerated for 8 years, power should oscillate in the interest of national integration so that we can all have sense of belonging. But when that power is to oscillate to the South, the fundamental question, the big question mark is the South monolithic? When power oscillates to the North, is the North monolithic? Where does the North begin? Is the North central? In where I work, it's in a dilemma. Geographical and political dilemma. Geographically, they are below River Niger. They are supposed to be in the South. But politically, they claim to be in the North Central. Can you see their dilemma? Now, when power oscillates, so an Ilorin man contest to be president, would they accept him in the North as a Northerner? That's a fundamental question. So the power should oscillate. Let's allow the South to make use of the 8 years that Buhari spent. But that South doesn't mean must be a Yoruba person compulsorily. When power oscillated to the South, did they oscillate to the Yoruba or to the Igbos? Because we are all together in the South.
It seems like this division is across board, Prof. Because even if you come to the state level, across all the states, Ogun State, you hear, the Yewas have been governor, the Jebus have not been governor. In your state, you hear the Ibadan people have been dominating. Okay, Ogun people. I mean, it's practically the same everywhere.
That is the problem.
So how are we so deeply divided?
The mentality of separation.
Yes.
And the primary reason is lack of good governance. If you have good governance, you will forget who is in government. You will cooperate. When the late SIG, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, was in government, they built this cocoa house.
Yes.
People were happy. Nobody cared whether I was an Ijebuma or Igbaman. But climbing up stairs in the dark, who are the people managing the Odua investment? They didn't know they are to illuminate the corridors. So, if there is no good governance, you begin to ask questions. Who is there that is inefficient? Who is there that is not doing well? If you have good governance, there will be no complaint. I don't know what you're getting.
But there are those. I know you've said that we've had this ethnic issue for a very long time.
For a very long time.
In fact, it was one of the things that precipitated the civil war and some of the crises that we've had over time. But there are those who say it has further deepened. Would you agree it has deepened, or it has always been there? They make reference to how people voted in 2023. Because I'm looking at the numbers here. First of all, do you think ethnicity played a role or religion played a role in those numbers?
I did a research published in Canada.
Yes.
On the 2023 election. Ethnicity and religion played prominent role. Even with Muslim ticket, I analyzed the result.
Yes.
States with more Muslims, they voted for the Muslim ticket. States with more Christians, they did not vote en masse for the Muslim ticket. Go and find out.
So the top three candidates got their votes based on ethnic and religious sentiments.
Religion and ethnicity.
Because, I mean, if you look at the numbers, really, Bola Tinubu is from the Southwest. I'm looking at the figures here.
Look at the result in Anambra.
Yes, he got just 58% the entire Southwest, 58% of the vote.
In the entire Southwest.
In the entire Southwest. So there are those who say if it was actually based on bigotry, that he should be clearing like 70%. So that means almost half of his people voted against him.
To play too.
Half of his people voted against him.
What is the vote of Christians that are many in the Southwest? How did they vote? So whatever comes,
so Peter Obi benefited from the Christian vote.
He benefited enormously, most especially in the Middle Belt. Not only in the East, where he emanated from, likewise in the Middle Belt.
Yeah, because in the East, his score is 89%.
Look at that.
And Atiku Abubakar in the North. North Central, 41%. Northwest, Bola Tinubu won Northwest. So was it the
Muslim ticket?
One would have thought that ethnicity would have played a role in the Northwest numbers.
No, but the vice president is a Northerner.
He's from the Northeast.
It doesn't matter. He's a Northerner. And he's a Muslim. So they did that marriage of convenience to Ghana vote in the North.
So it's our reality. Ethnicity and religion always play a role in our elections.
Whether you like it
or maybe was 2023 perhaps the worst in terms of those metrics?
Even at state level, people will tell you that how many governors have we produced that are Christians? How many have we produced that are Muslims?
Yes. But would you say that 2023 was the worst in terms of us being divided along those lines?
It was on a more serious note.
Compared to the previous elections? So why was it so deepened then?
It was different because campaign of calumny. The way to Ghana vote, political parties will look at for how can we get vote. They have done their calculations with experts that look, with Muslim ticket, you can defeat the opposition element. They were much more concerned with Atiku then. How do we defeat him? The North will be for him, Muslim will be for him, and there's one thing about Muslims. The Muslims in the North do not appreciate Muslims in the South. Muslims in the South are only going out with beer, calling themselves Muslim. Are they so recognized in the North? They are not really so recognized. When it comes to getting more vote, and Muslim, you look into the North, those that are fanatical, that see themselves as sincere Muslims, right? And interestingly, they got the vote and they got elected.
So it's our reality.
It is,
and we should expect more in 2027.
And religion. And we cannot say that until the personality who may emerge as candidates in different political parties.
Right.
If the same set of personality emerged, Peter Obi, Atiku, and Bola Tinubu, they will play both ethnic and religious cards.
So all three of them played it in 2023.
Politicians want to win vote.
Let's go to Prof now.
They want to win vote.
Prof. Hello, Prof?
Yes.
You have the floor, sir.
Let me also take him back to the issue of local government. He was talking about the introduction of developing areas, and I'm happy that he quickly added that there were issues with the implementation.
Yes.
And I remember when the president went to court and the Supreme Court decided that they should pay directly to local government and they should not pay to any local government that is not democratically elected. I remember saying that it's not going to happen because state governors have sufficient power, to make it impossible for that to happen. And that's exactly what they have done. And we have emphasized that dialogue, consultation, and negotiation is very central. And I'm happy that Professor Joe mentioned cooperative federalism, because sometimes when people talk about true federalism, they don't want to listen to what we academics have to say about our understanding of federalism. And that's why, happily, I think I've participated in about 4 or 5 activities around that local government decision. And I think I've also written about 3 or 4 presentations regarding that, working with Agora policy in Abuja. In fact, last week or 2 weeks ago, we were again in Abuja with the Minister of Finance in attendance, where we looked at this local government thing. Now they've come to realize, and the minister said they would negotiate, they would consult, they would dialogue with the state governors. This is what they should have done in the first place. If you also look at the tax reforms, we also mentioned the importance of this element of a federal system. And I think that if they continue to give dialogue and negotiation a place, Nigerian federalism will be better off. Even the whole question of centralization over centralization, control over resources, all of those things can be addressed by means of negotiation. But the point I want to bring out is the idea of local developing areas. Now, Professor Joe, if you go back to the Political Bureau report of 1987, they actually created a model local government for Nigeria, and that were the first notion of development area as the middle point in local government was established. Because it says the local government must be 3 tier. The first tier is the neighborhood level. The second tier is the community level, or some people will call the ward level. And the third tier is the local government itself. And the idea is that local government is about local participation, and that people can participate if they are organized right from their neighborhood where they reside. When Tinubu introduced local development areas in Lagos, the idea was not to increase participation or to make local government local. The idea was to actually take control of local governments and local government resources. And that's why that is what has happened with developing areas that the Ajimobi government copied. I do not know, because you made some point concerning how they were calling you PhD, that this is theory, this is practice. And we have always emphasized that there is no dichotomy between theory and practice, because if you theorize on what is happening.
Yes.
And the idea of theory is for improvement. And I see that politicians don't like intellectual input.
They don't.
They think that it's a waste of time. How do you think we can begin to address this idea of bringing innovation into governance by bringing those who do research, those who produce knowledge, with those who actually are in charge of policy and practice within the Nigerian system? Because as you said that is one of the factors that account for the disasters that we have seen. And I've had a personal experience with, for instance, the governor in Oyo State. And I've always been wondering, why would those in power not seek knowledge to address
societal
problems? How do we address this problem, given the fact that you have been in academia for a long time and you have also had a stint with practical politics and governance?
Right. Okay. So, Professor Oju, please hold that thought. We'll take a commercial break. Then you respond to him when we get back. Remember, we are streaming live on Facebook through to FM 949 FM. Do stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Golden penny pasta, what's your reason? What's your reason? Oh, everybody gather round. Come and hear the news in town. From the kitchen to my heart, every single body's a thrill. With every bowl I share, I find more reasons.
There are more reasons to love Golden Penny Pasta, enriched with protein and fiber for you and your loved ones. Golden Penny Pasta, great taste, good nutrition.
Àmàlà dúdú, àmàlà funfun, àmàlà tó fẹ́lẹ́ bí etí, ní ṣàwéwédú tó yọ̀ kólólò, ọ̀rẹ́ ìmùlẹ̀ gbẹ̀gìrì, pẹ̀lú ẹran tó muta, káàsà. Ilé léyìí o. Ẹja ọsàn. Ìlú Ìbàdàn àtàgbègbè rẹ̀. Àkókò tó láti gbélú Ìbàdàn lárugẹ ṣàfihàn àwọn ohun àdámọ̀ rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú oúnjẹ aládìídùn fara lókun sararindin.
Ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ ọ̀gọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ènìyàn lábẹ́ àtíbàbà kan ṣoṣo láti jọ fàwọn ọbẹ̀ aládùn búka jamọ̀là pẹ̀lú àwọn iléeṣẹ́ àfínjú olóúnjẹ tó gbajúgbajà nìbàdàn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń jàmàlà látún máa sọ̀díwúkẹ́ dọ́wẹ́kẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn adẹ́rìnpòṣónú láyìíká tó rẹwà.
Àwọn ìdíje wọ̀nyí ò ní gbẹ̀yìn. Ta ló lè yára jẹ̀sù àmàlà bàkìtàn láàrin ìṣẹ́jú péréte? Ọkùnrin wo ló lè ro àmàlà kó kúnná bí etí?
Ṣẹ́yìn lè yára jàmàlà gbígbóná láì fi falẹ̀.
Ọ̀pọ̀ àwọn ẹ̀bùn tó jọjú tún wà nílẹ̀ fáwọn olùkópa láti fi ṣèfàjẹ́.
Ẹ̀yà ọjọ́ kẹtàlélógún oṣù kẹjọ ọdún sọ́tọ̀ láago 2 lè tó gbéra sọ ní pápá ìgbàlejò ti recreation club tó wà lágbègbè Sabo Adamasingba Ìbàdàn. $2,000 náírà lówó tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì tẹ́ fi jẹ̀gbádùn yọ̀tọ̀ mi.
Láti kópa ẹgbà tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì yín ní 32 FM àjàkẹ́rin Cocoa House Dùgbẹ̀ Ìbàdàn.
Tàbí
Bíbíire food canteen Òkè Àdó.
Ìyá Òjó food canteen tó wà ní Ìjókòó Adánlágbáremú Ìbàdàn.
Àwọn iléeṣẹ́ tó so nígbàwọ́ àyájọ́ àmàlà níkànnì 32 FM 94.9.
Iléeṣẹ́ ọtí Rega Dry Gin.
Iléeṣẹ́ ohun ìsebẹ̀ Tẹ́rà Oníkóró.
Pẹ̀lú àjọṣepọ̀ àwọn ilé ìtajà oúnjẹ tó yáàyè bíi
Bíbíire food canteen.
Ìyá Òjó alámàlà.
Fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ tàbí láti jẹ́ onígbọ̀wọ́.
Ẹ̀lú Bímpé 0806-218-5194 tàbí Captain P2 0802-258-8193.
32 FM Àmàlà Fest. Àjẹdọ̀wẹ́kẹ̀. Ó máa dùn, ó máa lárinrin.
Start your day and have a good time.
Kivo Crema.
And where you need to have the break time.
Kivo Crema.
It's not tea, Papa Garita.
Kivo Crema. Kivo Crema.
Jẹ́ 20,000 naira lójoojúmọ́ pẹ̀lú Coco Box àti 32 FM. Ìkànnì 32 FM 94.9 pẹ̀lú àjọṣepọ̀ iléeṣẹ́ Coco Box ní fi àǹfààní 20,000 naira fún wa láti máa jẹ lójoojúmọ́ pẹ̀lú 500 naira. Bó o lẹ́ẹ̀tì ṣe jẹ́ àkọ́kọ́ ẹ lọ tẹ *347*253# lórí ẹ̀rọ ìbáraẹnisọ̀rọ̀ yín èyíkéyìí nẹ́tíwọ̀kì tẹ́ bá ń lò ẹ fi iye ìgbà tẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ tà sí. Wọ́n send account number tẹ́ ẹ lè lò lẹ́ẹ̀kan péré sí yín. Ẹ sanwó pẹ̀lú backup yín USSD àbí kẹ́ ẹ ṣàbẹ̀wò sí POS tó súnmọ́dọ̀ yín yẹn pẹ̀lú account number tó ti wà lọ́wọ́ yín. Èyí ṣe pàtàkì ìṣẹ́jú díẹ̀ péré ni account number ń fi lè ṣiṣẹ́ ó sì wà fẹ́yìí tẹ́ ẹ ta yẹn nìkan. bẹ́ẹ̀ bá kọ̀ láti sanwó sórí account number wọn yóò ṣàdínàgbò òkú fún yín látún ti ta lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i. bẹ́ẹ̀ ti ṣe ta tó pọ̀ sí ni àǹfààní ṣe wà ń bẹ̀ fún yín láti jẹ aago 9 àbọ̀ lówùrọ̀ aago 2 ọ̀sán aago 3 àtàago 5 ìrọ̀lẹ́ látọjọ́ ajé Monday sọ́jọ́ ẹtì ọjọ́ Jímọ̀ náà máa yí koto ní gbogbo ọ̀sẹ̀ọ̀sẹ̀ èèyàn 22 ni yóò mọ gbógun ẹgbẹ̀rún 20,000 naira èèyàn 8 ni yóò mọ gbógun ẹgbẹ̀rún lójoojúmọ́ èèyàn 3 ni yóò mọ gbọ́gọ́rùn ẹgbẹ̀rún 100,000 naira lọ́jọ́ ẹtì ọjọ́ Jímọ̀ ẹ̀yin náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí kẹ́tẹ̀ *347*253# kẹ́ẹ̀fì 500 naira péré gbàgbẹ́mù lórí Coco Box àti 32 FM ó ti pọ̀ jù.
I'm in love. Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Is it to open? Is it to squeeze? Is it to scoop and is it to stir? Dishes come alive with so much taste. Sonia tomato mix, of course. Sonia tomato mix, yes sir. Sonia tomato mix, stand up. Sonia
tomato mix in a new standard pouch.
Attention, attention, if you're not spending money, go.
All work and no music. Now they make Jumbo a dull boy. What about Funke? Omo, e be like say Funke to want the dull o. Don't dull. You wearing no Prada. Don't dull on a Friday evening, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Tune in to 32 FM 94.9 Fenye. Join Mouthpiece on Music Match. Where better gbedu go dey eat your airwaves. Wetin be the keyword for today? Get the keyword and request for your own song. You dey feel am? You dey feel am? You dey feel am?
It is Beduro. You dey feel am? You dey feel am? You dey feel am? Omo see signal. Is so die.
Music Match with Mouthpiece. Omo Jami.
Level T package. So yeah, feeling now. No time. Shoo. This one bad. Omo bad. Go me. Oh yeah, now finish this.
FM News. First, we're telling real stories.
We air stories from the perspectives of the people. Stories that our people can relate with.
In news delivery, we are fast, objective, and accurate.
We're all about changing the narratives by telling underreported stories and bringing those behind the news to your doorsteps.
At 12 noon and 4 p.m., we will continue to bring you comprehensive and factual news at home and across our various social platforms.
The stories you need to keep up with, from community news to sports, business, politics, and a lot more.
32 FM News, first with telling real stories.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Welcome back. The Podium on 32 FM 94.9. We see our Professor GBADE with us in the studio this morning. Remember, we're live on Facebook, 32 FM 949. Drop your comment, like, and share the video. So, Prof, he asked you a question before we went on that break.
Yes.
So, I would like you to,
Professor 𝐒𝐿𝐒, what can we do to be more relevant?
To balance experience in the classroom with practical politics.
With practical public administration.
Yes.
And politics. I think what we can do as scholars is to, one, reach out to them. We don't have the resources to participate in politics at their level. You can't say you are a professor, you want to become a governor tomorrow. Where do you get billions to distribute? So,
well, Soludo did it in Anambra as a governor now.
Soludo was a governor of Central Bank. He was no more a scholar at the time, contested to be a governor. Okonjo-Iweala came here as a minister. At the time was leaving to go to the World Trade Organization. He wasn't the same person anymore.
Yemi Osinbajo was running mate.
Yemi
Professor of law.
Who declared more asset than the president. He deputized. Don't forget that. He declared more money because Yemi Osinbajo was already a commissioner for some 8 years in Lagos.
Yes.
Attorney General in Lagos for some 8 years. He was in money before he became the vice president. So when he pulled out of the university that he was nominated, being an egghead, he became a commissioner, attorney general, and he became rich. Then he could now say he wanted to be anything. So we need to reach out. We don't have to ignore them in the interest of our society. And what I want to say is that we have sought ourselves up in the university.
Yes.
And they see it as arrogance, that we are knowledgeable. It's arrogance. So knowledge will humble us to move closer to them, so that we can have a better society. And one other way we can do it, aside from our intellectual output, how many of them will Google to look out for our research output? How many of them will go to the library to look out for journals? It's not their business. They are money. They are super comfortable. Where speeches are written for them. They don't even know what to say. You have to write what they would say outside.
They say that's the standard practice across the world. They have speech writers.
It's not across the world. It's not.
They have speech writers
it's
and
not.
all of that.
Depend on the caliber. If you write speech for Ajimabi, he will read it himself. He will read it. This is what I want to say. Many of these people, they are just reading speeches that the moment they read it, they have forgotten what is there. The late Chief Abafemi, I'm going to also say one thing I can never forget, that he was going to a EU meeting in Ethiopia. In the aircraft, right? He was typing his speech by himself. He typed his speech. He was a stenographer, a journalist. He typed his speech. He was not relying on anybody to write the speech for him. So we should reach out to the policymakers. And newspapers are avenue that we can use. Once in a while, let us write for national dailies. Let us make our knowledge known to guide the society, not academic papers alone. When you write for national dailies, you don't have control over who will read it. In the library, in the archive, they can get across it. They can stumble on it in the internet. We should not sort ourselves up writing for promotion alone. Many of our colleagues in the university, they are just concerned with promotion, and they are writing for promotion alone, and they don't need much to be promoted.
Or writing to, JAP, as you said, because you spent many more years. Okay, let me go to Barrister now. Barrister? Hello, Barrister.
Hey.
Yes.
Professor Ojo.
Yes, sir.
Let me bring you into the one that is trending now.
Okay.
Our wonderful daughters did us proud.
Yeah.
They brought the Women's African Cup to us. But we are at a time when nurses are on strike, when doctors are proposing to go on strike.
When lecturers are still hold 4 months salary from the time of Buhari up to this morning.
And professors are not getting up to 500,000 naira a month.
Yes. Don't embarrass us publicly. They will say we are just poor professors.
Our president gave 153 million naira to 24 footballers each.
Yeah.
Was the president circumspect enough, especially given what they had fed the country about the paucity of funds, and especially too, but that for 2 years the government has been borrowing money? Was he circumspect enough with that monetary reward?
They splash on them. You see, my view may be quite different. Mr. President has done well to buy their loyalty. In some other parts of the world, athletes perform based on their allegiance to their country. That America first. We must win this World Cup. But in Africa, everything has been monetized. That if you don't promise them big money, if you don't give them big money, they will not put in their best. And that is why we are complaining that doctors will not put in their best if they are not paid well. Professors will not put in their best if they are not paid well. So everybody should be motivated, whether they are athletes or they are not athletes. Everybody should be motivated. If Mr. President did that for them, it is a good reminder. That is why we are referring to it now, that think of nurses, think of professors, think of doctors, think of everybody. And you said one thing, that they are claiming Nigeria is a poor country. It is a lie. Nigeria is not a poor country. Go and look at how much they distribute on a monthly basis. Statutory allocation. It's in trillions. Go and look at how much they generate internally now. It's in trillions, not in billions, as IGR. Nigeria is not a poor country. It is corruption and misappropriation. Large chunk of our revenue is going to private pocket. You see, it is unfortunate that larceny, stealing, corruption is a major problem. Nigeria is a very rich country. What Nigeria makes on daily basis from oil sector alone, how many people will buy petrol, how many people will buy oil, what they make on a daily basis is not to pay everybody to
problem and the revenue problem, in the sense that you're not even making as much as you should make, and you are spending more than what you're making. Because if you mentioned the state of Texas, for instance, a state department, a police department in the United States, the budget alone trumps the budget of the government in Nigeria. So I mean, are we making as much as we can make?
Nigeria with the US, the budget of a university, Harvard University,
yes,
their budget for last year is more than the total budget of Oyo State. And so you cannot compare, because of the value of the naira and the resources available to them, and they are making the best of their own resources. We have resources here. We are not making the best of it. We are talking about bitumen in
so that means based on what is coming in presently,
gold everywhere.
We're not talking about revenue potential. We're talking about what is coming in presently.
What is coming in
Are
presently?
we a rich nation? What is coming in presently?
Nigeria is a rich country. If Nigeria is not a rich country, how could the lack of a one person, acquire that property in Abuja? If we have a kind of political cataclysm, and the government could come and say, look, it's either you die or you return what you steal. And within a week, you will see how rich Nigeria will become. The volume of money that will come back to the government. If you are accused as a governor of embezzling more than 60 billion, look at what the man in Kogi is running around.
Yaya Bello.
80 billion or thereabout.
Allegation.
Yeah. Right? So I say to who has been freed.
Acquitted, yes.
Acquitted.
Yes.
All of them, one by one, how much they were accused of misappropriation.
Because people say, at the end of the day, allegations.
Allegations.
The allegations.
Yeah, because we are on serious country. Because Nigeria is a rich country, but the money is being misappropriated. When Gawan was military head of state, for your information, he said Nigeria has money, but we don't know how to spend it. He was paying salaries of civil servants in some West African countries, giving them loan, instead of diversifying our economy. How do you explain that?
Oh, okay. Let me go back to your constituency now.
Yeah.
You know, that is the area of the academia. I like the fact that you mentioned Harvard University. And one of the debates that have come up, in recent time is the issue of how universities are being administered. Some have talked about, universities being autonomous. That maybe we should redefine the model of university education system, in Nigeria to make it more relevant, to make it more competitive as well, looking at the model that they run in other advanced countries. So what's your position on the issue of autonomy and the issue of NEL fund as well? In fact, there are those who say this education loan fund could be a step towards achieving the autonomy and also ensuring that people have access to that financial aid to get university education in Nigeria.
Actually, the idea of NEL fund is commendable. You see myself as a case study. My father was a cobbler at Ojagbeni Badanya. Very extremely poor background. My father was a cobbler, a bricklayer, and a farmer. I was a self-sponsored student. I started as a typist at the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, TSOS, at the time of Bolage. Self-sponsored student up to PhD level. I never slept a day on any campus because there was nobody to feed me or pay my school fee. So if a governor come up with a policy that if you want to go to the university, don't say money is your problem. We will give you loan to do that. But a lot of people are skeptical with the loan. They are actually collecting the loan. But if they are unemployed 10 years later, after graduation, how will they repay the loan? So they see it as wasting money. They are getting more of the loan in the north than in the south. Go and find out.
Repayment of student loan is also a big problem in the U.S. I think it was it Barack Obama that repaid or wrote off some student loan debt? Because there are those who will be working 10, 15 years after. They still have loads of student loan to pay, even in the United States.
The case of U.S. is funny.
Yes.
Many of them are not ready to work because social fund, every weekend they go there to collect cheap money.
Yes.
They are not ready to do unemployed benefits, including UK. They are not ready to work. If you get a job for them, they will say, look, we are not ready because you still be deducting tax. But this benefit, no tax. So foreigners are doing the work for them there. But here, people are ready to work. But the work is not available. We are unable to diversify the economy. We are establishing more university, very senseless thing. Establishing more university, producing more graduates every year, and there is no job. Let me go back to the time of Awolowo. It was establishing technical colleges, secondary schools, and it started with an investment with more than 50 subsidiaries. That when these chaps graduate, they are to work somewhere. But what has happened to those subsidiaries? They are done one by one. Where are industries in Ibadan, like Leland, like West African Battery, like Glass and whatever, Triple Glass, and so many of them, they are dying one by one. So we are not creating jobs.
Okay, so do you think, let's go back to the universities now. Do you think there should be a level of autonomy in how the universities are administered, generating their funds, run based on endowment, scholarship, and all of that?
We have not reached the stage of complete autonomy, like developed countries or universities. If we want to give university autonomy, as we just making noise, you give university autonomy, can Vice Chancellor generate money that will pay salary? If you go out and count the number of professors at the University of Ibadan, where the SOA perhaps the largest number of professors, if you count them, how much do we hand at the month? How much you say we hand as an appendage of the Ministry of Health and the Faculty of Medicine there?
Yes.
How much you have to pay at the end of the month? They cannot generate that money if you give them full autonomy.
They cannot generate it?
Yeah, that means you ask them to pay millions. Like federal and private university, we had to pay 5, 6, 7 million.
Isn't that why, those universities abroad that we make reference to as standard, that's why they are standard today?
And that's why they are standard, because they can afford it. But for now, we cannot afford it. We still have to subsidize education. And once education is subsidized, we cannot talk of full autonomy. You who pay the piper dictate the tune. That's the truth. Government that is bringing out billions on monthly basis to pay your salary, and you are telling them to keep sort on who become the Vice Chancellor.
But from your argument, it looks like it's going to be better, if the government decides to hands off the university. There's always rancor with VC. I remember what happened in the University of Lagos before the government set up a committee by Wale Babalaki.
You have to look at the aspect of finance, not administrative hands-off, not administrative autonomy. I don't know whether you are getting me. So the universities
don't have the capacity to run themselves financially?
For now, I doubt it. Because when you ask students to pay, even if government is ready to give them the money, they will not cooperate. Nuns will not cooperate. That they should come and pay 1 million as school fee at the end of the session, 2 million as school fee. They will not. Even government that established NEL fund, we discovered that large chunk of their national budget will go to that NEL fund.
Right. Let's hear from Prof. Prof, we're talking about your constituency.
I agree with Professor Joe completely. Yes. And I think, Yusuf, it's important for us to make this clarification. Now, we have more private universities than federal universities. In fact, I think at the last count, the private university they dwarf both state and federal university, apart from the recent proliferation of universities across the country by the federal government. But when you look at the statistics, you find that they still control less than 16% of the studentship, which means that if you increase the school fees of public universities, chances are that they will not be able to get students just the way private universities are unable to get students. So it's not that there are no students looking for university or there are no university for them to go, but they simply can't afford private universities. So the bulk of students still go to public universities because of the cheap cost of
education
studentship.
Yes. There's another point, Prof.
Yeah.
Let me create your indulgence.
Right. Go ahead, Barrister.
Okay. There's another thing that I saw that I discussed on another radio program.
Yes.
I described it as a man who decides to close his eyes and walk from Dubai to Challenge bus stop. That is how I described our educational sector. Well, number one, we do not even have the data. How many doctors do we need? How many civil engineers do we need? How many architects do we need? How many, all of the professions. I was with a rewire a couple of days ago, and he was telling me that, lawyer, in another 10 years, we will not have rewires again, organizers, plumbers, because all of them are not coming for training.
Yes.
As it used to be. So I am looking at the content of education. Is it primed towards solving societal problems? Or everybody is just going to university, to learn how to wear
Very good point.
shirts,
Very good point,
ties,
barrister.
For what kind of job?
Yes, very good point, barrister. Very good point.
You can also see the way the federal government is opening universities. Anyhow, okay. Take for instance, if you were to make federal universities to charge tuition like private universities do, even professors within the university cannot afford it. How much do you pay professors that they will now send their children? Those who have children in private universities, they borrow money.
Yeah.
They take loans.
But
when you have such a disorganized system, how do you say you are running an educational system?
But Prof, maybe we should perhaps redefine it in such a way that university education is not seen as, I don't know how to put it now, because it looks like, as Barrister said, everybody just goes to the university. At the end of the day, the education.
Look at the percentage
what's
of
the
those
value?
who finish for secondary school and the percentage of those who go to the university.
And
we don't have too many students in the universities. The real problem is we don't have functional effective universities. We are just proliferating universities without sufficient lecturers, without sufficient infrastructure, without sufficient resources. So why we don't have capacity for the number of universities, public universities that we have today. And then we are proliferating rather than expanding individual university and building their capacity. Yeah,
exactly.
So what we are doing is we are multiplying offices of vice chancellors, offices of what of do this for?
When we came up with this idea of 644 system, or what do they call it? 6334 system. I think it was an attempt to carve professions for our children. So that the first 3 years, your areas of talent or specialization will be how you move forward. But it appears even that has been jettisoned. Everybody just come out to universities with paper qualification and looking for office jobs.
Exactly.
Right, let's take some comments on Facebook, 32FM 949. You can also call 0906 2000 949. Let's see if we can take one or two calls as we wrap up the conversation with Professor GBADE Ojo this morning. 0906 2000 949, 0829 7000 949, 0705 5000 949. On Facebook, Okedon Abatunde says most states are not even paying the minimum wage. It is just that the governors have muzzled the workers in those states. Why is it difficult to move a bill that will allow independent candidates to run for elections? He says, what's the role of Governors Forum in the Constitution? They are a clog in the wheel in the progress of local government in this country. He says, it is an open secret that no local government election takes place. It is purely a selection process. Imagine the huge amount of money expended on expended to conduct the selection process. All the presidential candidates promised to remove subsidy, but PBAT didn't put in any structure to cushion the effect of the removal. Since politics is a game of numbers, politicians will do everything to get people on their side. It is left for Nigerians to vote for the right candidate to govern them. It says, how many industries in Nigeria are ready to sponsor research in the universities? The government will still continue to fund education. Government will continue to establish more universities, because how many parents can afford private institutions? In the universities, some professions are regulated. It is unfortunate that professors complain about university proliferation are running around to also become VCs of those universities. Okay, so Professor GBADE Ojo, let me just get your thoughts on some of the things that have been brought up in this Facebook comment. The first one is the issue of independent candidacy, and then the issue of Governors Forum. Because as much as we're talking about federalism, that we need to devolve powers, there are those who say governors in Nigeria are powerful. I mean, they determine. Yes, they determine the chairman of their political party. Sometimes they determine the presidential candidate of their party.
Call them emperors.
So is it that they actually don't have power? So they know where to deploy their powers.
They know where to deploy their power.
Yes,
they have those power. But when you are talking of Governors Forum, there is freedom of association. Whether you have councillors forum, whether you have ministers forum or whatever. There was a forum of chief of staff too when I was there. We meet in Abuja. So whether those forums are achieving anything positive or not is another thing. So they have fundamental human right of association.
Right.
That's about the governors. So
then the other one, independent candidacy.
On independent candidacy, it will take time. Our technology has not developed to that level. Let us assume that 200 human beings want to be governor of Oyo State.
As independent candidates.
As independent candidate. And political parties are feeding some 17 candidates. Independent human beings, 200 want to be governor. How do you design ballot papers when electronic voting is not ready? How many people can boast of a laptop, iPad that they can vote in their bedroom? That technology we can't and tell us how many people who won the election clearly. We are currently, the way the design ballot papers is unwieldy, that a lot of votes are void.
Yes.
Because people are still looking for the logo of the political party, and the space is so tiny that
they've squeezed it in.
Thank you.
You might spill over to the next.
So the issue of independent candidacy will take some time until we can get more of technology, until we can, have control of the space, to develop our technology. So we need technology for good election.
Right. Okay, so we're wrapping up now. So let me go to Barrister, your final question, comment as we wrap up with Professor GBADE Ojo this morning.
Yeah, Professor Ojo.
Thank you very much.
We'd like to make you laugh as a therapy for the times. I see you're already laughing.
Yes.
Now, they say professors have been so immunized that they prefer burger to amala and abula. Do you eat amala?
I am an Ojagbo boy. I don't even eat snacks. I don't take snacks. I take amala, take fufu, take eba. I am an Ojagbo boy.
Don't mind that, Professor Ayede. He's a burger boy.
No, Ayede is Alakwa way now. Alakwa ways. Ayede is Alakwa way.
We went to Amala joint in Amanda Stadium before. Amala with the chop.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Barrister. Prof, your final comment. Right. Prof, your final comment as we wrap up.
Well, I think it has been a very good conversation, and I'm happy that you brought Professor Ojo. I want to thank him for the candid responses that he has given. But one last point to Ojo, you cannot now say that you're not partly responsible for the road that we are going through now. You're being in government. You're also part of the problem.
All right.
If given another opportunity, we shall clear the August table.
Are you still in active politics?
In fact, I wanted to ask Ojo whether he participated in rigging.
I was not a member of INEC. I didn't work with INEC. I always go to the polling booth to cast my vote and go home.
Are you still in active politics, Prof?
I am not. I am back to the university. I'm
back to the classroom.
Back to the classroom.
Prof, just before we go.
Okay, sir.
The issue of the National Political Science Council that we muted today.
Yeah.
I know that we are going to push it further. Let me decide to the council.
Barrister, noted, sir.
Right. Thank you so much, Professor GBADE Ojo, Professor of Comparative Politics, former Chief of Staff to the late Governor Ajimabi of Oyo State, for joining us on the podium. It's been a very interesting conversation with you this morning. Professor Ayede, also thank you, and Barrister, thank you as well. Thank you, dear listener, for joining us on the podium. We return next Saturday, 9 a.m. My name is OLORUNTOBA YUSUF. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye for now.